Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're diving into something that is quietly rewiring the entire global economy. We're going to explore why a seemingly dry, highly technical policy might actually be the biggest global supply chain upgrade since the creation of the internet itself. If you think global trade is just about cargo planes and shipping containers, well, get ready for a pretty major perspective shift. We are looking at a fundamental rewiring of how the world does business.
I mean, think about it for a second. What if a new tax actually triggered a full-blown tech revolution? It sounds crazy, right? But what happens when a bureaucratic trade regulation acts as a Trojan horse for massive technological innovation? History shows us that the biggest leaps forward don't always come out of a Silicon Valley garage. Sometimes they actually come from the strict, unyielding pressure of compliance. We're looking at a scenario right now where a new tax requirement is literally forcing industries to completely digitize their tracking systems just to survive.
So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the hidden supply chain upgrade. 2, what exactly is CBAM? 3, the carbon tracking challenge. 4, the internet scale evolution. And finally, who wins the new era? All right, let's jump right into part 1, the hidden supply chain upgrade. You know, most folks look at new regulations and just see red tape, right? Just another hurdle slowing down commerce. But we've really got to flip that expectation completely on its head. Because when a rule demands a level of data precision that our current systems physically cannot provide, it suddenly becomes this massive engine for unprecedented innovation. It's basically a forced technological revolution, completely disguised as a set of rules. Companies aren't doing this because they want to. They're upgrading because they absolutely have to if they want to keep playing in the global market.
Moving right along to Section 2. What exactly is CBAM?
Okay, since you follow this space, you probably already know the core deal with the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. It prices carbon at the border. Simple enough, right? But think about the cascading technological fallout of that one fact. To price carbon accurately at a geographic border, you are literally forced into molecular-level tracking. You can't just wave a piece of paper anymore and declare, hey, I have a ton of steel. No way. You have to mathematically prove the exact environmental cost of that specific ton, stretching all the way back to the raw material extraction.
Let's trace this journey, because it acts as the ultimate stress test. Step 1, production. That's where the emissions happen. Step 2, export. The goods leave their home country. But step 3, carbon auditing. This is where everything changes. This isn't just your standard customs check. It's a ruthless data validation process. If the data from production doesn't perfectly align here, well, step 4, EU border entry, is going to be a nightmare. It triggers heavy, punitive tariffs, or your goods are just completely blocked. The physical stuff might move normally, but now, the data has to travel flawlessly right alongside it.
Which brings us to part 3, the carbon tracking challenge.
Seriously, I want you to pause and really think about this for a second. How exactly do you prove the carbon footprint of a single steel beam that came from halfway across the world? The iron ore was mined, loaded onto a massive vessel, burning bunker fuel, smelted using some specific local energy grid, forged, and then transported all over again. Answering this requires a level of transparency that, frankly, just does not exist in today's siloed networks. You can't just estimate anymore. You need hard, verifiable, cryptographic proof traced all the way back to origin.
So we are staring down a pretty stark reality gap here. On one side, you have the opaque, dusty, legacy systems of the past. You know them: fragmented spreadsheets, random PDFs attached to email threads, analog stamps, and just massive blind spots everywhere. But on the other side is the unavoidable future: ecosystems that are deeply integrated, completely data-rich, and totally hyper-transparent. You simply cannot solve a modern, data-intensive auditing challenge with an analog toolkit. It just won't work.
And that absolute necessity leads us perfectly into Section 4, the internet scale evolution.
It's a lot like the foundational building blocks of the early web, honestly. Complying with this demands a massive, systemic upgrade across all these interconnected nodes. We're talking standardized data protocols so entirely different systems can finally speak the same language. We need transparent data flows, interconnected ledgers to verify authenticity without question, and real-time tracking so the footprint travels at the exact same speed as the physical product. Think about it. Before the internet, communication was totally fragmented. The early web forced standards like TCP/IP so computers could actually connect globally. Well, this regulation is forcing that exact same kind of standardization, but for the physical goods moving across our planet. It's wild.
All right, wrapping things up with Section 5, who wins the new era? Look, the market is about to sharply divide between those who embrace this internet-like transparency and those left coughing in the analog dust. The winners? They are proactively adapting and upgrading their infrastructure right now, and their outcome is pretty sweet: seamless, data-rich border entry. Their goods flow smoothly because their data actually clears the path for them. On the flip side, the losers are going to treat this like just another annoying paperwork exercise, clinging to those legacy methods. Their outcome is harsh. They are going to get caught by the ultimate stress test right at the border, staring down heavy financial penalties and severe delays, all because their systems simply couldn't produce the required proof.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to kind of chew on regarding your own readiness for this massive global shift. The policies are set, the borders are being equipped, and this huge digital upgrade is absolutely already underway. The transition from opaque legacy networks to a fully transparent, internet-scale ecosystem is no longer just a theory, guys. It's happening right now. So the real question is, are you ready for the great supply chain evolution? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you next time.